Hey guys, so I figured that I would come on here and let's talk about troubleshooting your hotspot fire drill. If you guys are following my content right now, I feel like I'm doing a mini peaceful homekeeping challenge by using Reels, TikTok videos, and YouTube Shorts. So the difficult part about that is those videos are only 1 minute long. And so I do know that with the tiny habits that we're talking about, for some situations, it requires more conversation. We really need to talk about it, but you can only say so much in a 1 minute video. So I wanted to come on here and talk about the hotspots in particular and troubleshooting that. If you feel like, you're hearing about the hotspot fire drill, which is in my previous post, and you're like, I don't know if that's for me. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. I have some messages coming in from work. I'm just taking a small break because I have some meetings and I want to make sure I look presentable. So anyway, yeah, let's talk about it. So the first thing that I feel like will be coming up for some of you guys is I can't keep up with that, therefore I shall not try. That was very similar to my thoughts whenever I heard about the hotspot fire drill. You guys know that I started getting into systems and realistic habits and routines when I started my Fly Lady journey, and that's where I learned about the hotspot fire drill. And on the Fly Lady system, the first thing that you have to do is you have to do the shiny sink roll. So on the Fly Lady system, they're very particular about actually keeping your sink shiny. I just believe just keep it empty and do the best you can. If you want to buff it out and shine it every day, great for you. But I just kind of clean mine out and move on. But I do believe in keeping it empty because that will help you guys fight buildup. And then when it's time to do dishes, you will literally be shaving so much time off of your dish doing process. So I remember going into that and just being like, oh, I can't do it. It's too hard. I've always struggled with dishes. And so why is this going to be any different? And then I did it for a few days, and then all of a sudden, I'm just seeing my sink cleared out more often than normal, and I was feeling pretty confident about it. And I was like, okay, well, I know that I have the capacity to take on more because at this point, I've really been into speed cleaning. So I can clean for an hour. I've really been into all day clean with me, marathon cleaning. So I'm like, okay, shiny sink. Set my timer for 15 minutes in the morning and work on it. And what I was finding is that it wasn't even taking 15 minutes to do that. So I'm like, I have capacity to do more. I'm so used to doing more. So the next step that I worked on was the hotspot fire drills, which is what we're talking about today. And I remember when I read that, she said, you can clear that surface off however you need to. We're going to talk about strategies for handling that today. But for me, I just chose to just clean it off one good time, make it completely empty. The thought process behind this is that clutter attracts more clutter. So if you leave stuff up there, on your hotspots, it just attracts more people to come behind you and do the same thing. And when it's just one or two people doing that, okay, it's fine. It's easy to keep up with. But when you start multiplying that habit times a family of 6, then it becomes really difficult, especially if you don't have the best habits in place. So the hotspot fire drill, what you're supposed to do is find very specific surfaces, okay? Some of you guys are thinking that I'm telling you to keep up with all of your surfaces. I'm not. All surfaces are not the same. There are some that are worse than others. And one of those surfaces is surfaces where people drop stuff that they do not feel like putting away or they don't know what to do with it. That's why we target those, because those are breeding grounds for buildup, and those are breeding grounds for future decluttering projects. And so the goal is, if we can start there, just right at the source, right at the root of the problem, then you can prevent a lot of problems going forward. Okay, so once again, I'm not telling you guys to go after every surface because every surface has a time and a place in the system. But for your daily kind of keep up, we're just going for the worst ones. And then once those are done, then you do the best you can with everything else. Another thing about that is your hotspots tend to be hotspots because those are the ones that you're not touching on a daily basis. I think a lot of us in our homes, we have those surfaces that we try to keep up. And then what ends up happening is if we're not ready to put something away, we kind of push it off into the hot spot. So let's think about your kitchen counters that you use to cook. There's probably several counters that you try to keep clear, because if you don't have them clear, like, you won't be able to like prep your food or whatever. So you take things off of that particular part of the counter and you push it onto your hotspot, because your hotspot is convenient, it's out of the way. Yeah, and so you can do that. So what I'm asking you to do is, you probably already have good routines around some of your countertop space, but there are some, but there are a couple of surfaces that we're trying to just build gentle habits around. So now let's get into the troubleshooting. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, if you feel like you can't do this, I understand that not everyone is going to be starting in the same place when it comes to hotspots. There are going to be some hotspots that are like, there's a spectrum, if you will. There's going to be people who don't even have an issue with their hotspots. And then there's going to be people who there's quite a bit of buildup. And so first thing I want to let you know is that this is not about trying to like have a beautiful countertop or a beautiful countertop space. Like, yes, that is a benefit that comes from showing up, but this is about your habits. Your current habits are creating a problem that you're not happy with. And so the goal is to gently nudge you toward a different habit that can produce a different result for you. And a way to do this in a gentle fashion is to just work on that. Just get into the habit of working on those hotspot surfaces twice a day, at least. You can do more. You can do a third time a day if you want to. I don't want you to become obsessed, but we're just trying to build the habit of having like a protected surface. So if you don't have a lot of clutter there, for some of you guys, you're going to just be able to go clear it off today. And then you're like, okay, now these are protected zones. I'm going to take care of them every morning and every night. I'm going to make sure they're good. And that's all you need. For some of you guys, there's going to be quite a bit of buildup that you need to work through. And if that is your situation, on the Fly Lady system, they recommend doing 2-minute drills. So after you go and do your shiny sink routine, do something with your dishes, you're going to come over to your hotspots and you're just going to make them better for 2 minutes, okay? I know that it doesn't seem like it's going to be helpful, but you guys remember that I used to be a Peaceful Homekeeping Academy coach, and I'm just telling you guys that this rule makes a huge difference. In our group, we did challenges around this, and we saw some huge transformations. So I want you to be encouraged and know that if that is something that you want to work on, trying to build your habits slowly and gently so that you can start experiencing more often than not having like cluttered surfaces clear and taken care of. I'm encouraging you just to give this a shot. Another way that I like to do it, for me, 15 minutes is not too demanding when it comes to like upkeep and working on my home. So this is the way that I like to approach it. And I've also had students that have had success with this method. Hey guys, thanks for jumping on. But you can literally set your timer for 15 minutes and that's it. Like whatever you accomplish in 15 minutes, that's it. You walk away from it. So in 15 minutes, you can unload your dishwasher if it's a morning routine, and you can go and do your hotspot fire drill. Remove the things that were on that hotspot, and that's it. And so I had students who were working through that, and through those 15 minutes, just showing up every morning and every night. By the end of the week, those surfaces were clear, and throughout the remaining of the challenge, they were able to keep up with it. And once again, like if you can hang in there for 15 minutes at a time, then I feel like you're good to go. We just want to make sure that we're putting your attention on the right tiny habit that will help make that happen for you guys. So I want you guys to remember that these habits are not about creating that beautiful home in one day. There are lots of strategies to do that burn people out and that are difficult to stay with and stick with over the long haul. I don't want to put you guys or guide you guys into a system of doing that. Like with anything, there's like lots of ways, like let's think about weight loss. There's lots of ways to lose the weight, but what's really difficult is keeping that weight off for years, because if you start in with something that you can't maintain, it's difficult to do that for year after year after year. So I don't want to put you guys in that position. I want to teach you guys about gentle strategies to approach it. And I want you guys to remember that tiny habits are like seeds, okay? We're not getting the fruit in one day, But just because you place a seed in the ground, you know, you're not going to look at that and say it's not worth planting, it's not worth taking care of, because like I don't see the end results today. You know that it's like one of those things where you place the seed, you nurture that habit, and habits grow. They get better, they get stronger over time. So that's what we're trying to get you guys into doing. So yeah, this is not a one-time thing. It's about habits. If you work on those surfaces, you know, set your timer for 15 minutes, do your shiny sink, work on your hot spots. When 15 minutes are over, move on, go do something else. And then same thing at night. If you do that, it will get better. Okay, so the next thing is, I think we kind of already addressed this, but I do know that some people can listen to that and think that it's too hard. That was certainly my case when I first heard it. I really doubted my ability to keep up with the hotspot fire drill and also the shiny sink. But once again, sometimes I want you guys to be mindful of not taking your past experiences and projecting it into new things. If you have not tried it yet, I just really want to encourage you to just give it a try. You know, once again, use your timer so you don't get overwhelmed, and be okay with doing what you can and walking away. And if any of you guys are just feeling like that, like it won't work for me, like my situation is it's too big, it's too demanding. The only thing that I would just suggest is that you give it a try. Just try to stick with it for like a couple of days and let me know, like, if you don't see a difference, because I think that you will. Once again, these principles are based off of things that have worked for other people. And so sometimes you just don't know what might work for you until you give it a try. If you know that what you're currently doing is not working for you, then I just encourage you to try tiny habits, to try tiny changes, and to even research that. Research tiny habits, research small incremental changes. Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg and Atomic Habits by, oh gosh, what's his name? I'm like drawing a blank on his name. Those are two good resources that will encourage you and build up your confidence with this whole tiny habits thing. So if that's something that you want to research, I highly suggest kind of looking into those two topics. And maybe that can also give you some confidence that tiny habits do work if that is something that you want to work on. But the most important, James Clear, thank you. Thank you so much, 59 beads. Yeah, so that's pretty much what this whole thing is about. It's about those little tiny tweaks, those little tiny changes that can grow. So that's how this was finally able to work for me. You guys know that my home is not perfect. I will never come on here and be like, oh yes, girl, I got it 100% together. I don't, but I feel so much better now than I did a couple of years ago. And I'm just sharing the story of how I was able to make that happen. So anyway, you guys, if you haven't done it already, go shine your sink, set your timer for 15 minutes, shine your sink, and whatever time you have left, go clear off a hot spot today and keep at it. And I will see you guys in the next video. All right, bye. Thanks for being here.